Hey everyone, it's Tina Swidden, founder of One Mom's Battle and author of quite a few books, but the main one is Divorcing a Narcissist, One Mom's Battle, and that can be found on Amazon. What I wanted to talk about today is Family Court 101, the reality of the system. So I get all types of client calls, consultations, everything from people who are just starting out in the system to people who haven't even filed for divorce yet. And then I get the people who are, 5-10 years in, and it's just a circus with what's been made of their case, either through attorneys botching things or just the reality of our system. But regardless of who I'm talking to, I find that with most people, part of what I do is very much the 101 version of the realities of family court. And so I'm going to save everyone time on our coaching calls by just putting this out there, because I think it's so important. And I'm just going to talk very impromptu. I don't have notes. I don't have anything to follow. The reality of our court system is that judges see the worst side of humanity on a daily basis. And I get it, because there are days that I sit in court observing cases that, I don't know either party. I don't know anything about their story. And so sometimes I walk away going, I totally get why that judge gave 50-50 in that case, because I didn't know who to believe. There's a lot of mostly he said, she said. And so in the eyes of the court, they believe that doing 50-50 at least gives that child half a chance of coming out okay. And that's heartbreaking. But the reality is they see the worst judges, attorneys, they see horrific abuse. They see things I don't even want to mention on here, things that, I've witnessed or heard in court, which keep me awake at night, because you just, until you've been there and watched an overview of the system and the reality of our system, most people are blissfully naive, and I used to be that way. So keeping that at the front and center of your mind, I know that when I go into the court with my case, which even at the height of it, some of the things seem really frivolous to the courts based on what, the cases that came right before mine. And that doesn't make it right. My children are equally as important as everyone else's children. And it's something I personally work very hard at, to never become calloused to the realities of the system, because I never want to say to a mom, that doesn't really, that's not really important compared to what Sally's dealing with over here. The reality is, if your kids are suffering, whether it's emotional abuse, physical abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, whatever it is, it's all equally hurtful and painful and wrong. But just because I work hard to not be calloused to the reality of that system, it doesn't mean that the judges are like that. And so when your case or my case comes into the court, they're looking at us like whiny people who just need to go figure things out and learn how to co-parent. And so we're shoved into that high conflict category where we are equally troublesome as our cluster B, narcissist, sociopathic, what borderline X. And again, that is so wrong, but it's the reality. And so I'm one of the most optimistic people you'll ever meet, but I'm also one of the most realistic people because of what I've been through and what I've seen. And I've seen a lot. My court battle started in 2009, and today we're at 2019. I'm 10 years in. Mine's finally over, but I'm guessing if you're tuning in to watch this right now, yours isn't. And so my heart goes out to you. But the sooner you can understand the system and go into it from a realistic vantage point and a strategic, that is the key thing that so many people lack, is strategy. You know, our minds don't work that way. Nature intended for us to protect our kids, but your hands are tied by a very broken system who doesn't see it that way. You know, the court says in the best interest of the child. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's truly doesn't even weigh into the court system anymore. It comes down to parental rights and what's fair to the parents. Kids are divided up like property. And so is it fair? Absolutely not. Is it wrong? Absolutely. But is it reality? Yes. And so learning to choose your battles very wisely, learning to be strategic about your communication, building your case over time. You know, when nature intended for us to protect our kids, but our hands are tied, it kind of makes us go a little bit, you know, we don't know how to function because it goes against who we are at a cellular level. And does it mess with you? Absolutely. I've been there. I 100% get it. But it is important to really look at this the way, you know, you pretend you are helping to fight your best friend's battle. Try to take yourself out of it emotionally and go, what advice would I give to my friend? How do I look at this from, you know, a somewhat, as much as you can, non-emotional standpoint, so that you can operate from a place of strategy. Everything you put in writing is not for your ex. It may feel like that because you're saying his or her name when you're writing the emails, but everything you put in writing is for the judge or for the parenting coordinator or for the evaluator or whoever it is. None of it has to do with your ex. And if that's the only place you can start with when it comes to strategy, do that. That's how you get your mind in the game to begin with and start operating strategically versus emotionally, because unfortunately, operating from a place of emotion, which I have been guilty of, I'm human, and so are you, you know, but the overall picture, this is a war. I have lost so many battles along the way. I just recently put in an email newsletter. You know, I've lost more battles than I can count on both hands and both feet together. But ultimately, I've won the war. And I can only recently say that my kids are 100% safe. You have as much legal rights to my children as my ex-husband does right now, because his rights have been completely severed and terminated. It's more than just legal custody. He has zero rights over my daughters. And I cannot tell you what an amazing feeling that is, and what a huge weight has come off of my shoulders after this 10-year battle. Even when it comes down to, you know, if something were to happen to me, what happens to my kids? They would automatically go to him, even though he hasn't seen them in 5 years. That's terrifying. And I constantly live with that feeling of dread. But, you know, I can say I've worked very hard and very strategically, but very honestly, to get where I am today. And a lot of that is, you know, really showcasing who is behind that mask. People always ask me, you know, how do I prove to the court that he's a narcissist? You don't. That would never be something I would recommend. Instead, I would focus on patterns of behavior specific to your ex that affect your children. I do offer a documentation workshop. You can go to the One Mom's Battle website and click on webinars up at the top. I usually do once a month, and that's a great step to take if you are unsure of how to properly document. And I also do offer one-on-one coaching sessions. I am still, as of this recording, taking new clients. I'm usually booked about a week out, but same place, One Mom's Battle website, click on consultations up at the top. I am cheering you on. My outcome is very rare, and that's sad for me to say, because I am not someone who believes 50-50 parenting is healthy for anybody, even with two healthy parents. I think it's horrible on our kids to bounce them, during the school week from house to house. And so I'm very against shared parenting to that degree. I do think that both parents play, and I'm not gender, biased one way or the other. I was raised by my dad, who was the healthier of my two parents. My dad, I was 6 months old. He was 18 or 19 when he got custody of me. And I feel incredibly blessed to have been raised by my dad versus my mom. And so when I say I'm against 50-50 parenting, if you're of the father's rights group's mindset, don't send me hate mail. It is wasted, because then I'm going to have to share my story with you. And 9 times out of 10, you come back and apologize to me. I'm pro-child. I'm not pro-mom. I'm not pro-dad. I am pro-healthy parent. I'm pro-child. And I hope this little 101 of the family court system helps you to put things in perspective and operate from more of a strategic mindset. So take care. I am cheering you on from here in California. And while the outcome of my case isn't what's best for everybody, it was for my kids and for our family. So cheers.